Let's open up the mailbag. Are the Celtics too team-oriented to get postseason awards? Should we fear Oklahoma City and Cleveland? And where does Jaylen Brown fit into Celtics history? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Jrue to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and I got you covered every day with a free podcast that drops directly to your device. So make sure you're subscribed, watch the show on YouTube, and get into the comments section. Lots of everydayers, people who are listening Monday through Friday there in the YouTube comments, so join them there if you'd like. If you're new to the show, I am John Karalis. I have been covering the Celtics for about 20 years now, doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a couple of books, so go ahead and search my name on Amazon. Pick up one, pick up both if you'd like. Today, we're opening up the mailbag. It's a mailbag episode, and later on, we're going to get to questions about some fun stuff about Duke versus Florida, Al Horford, and Jayson Tatum. Where does Jaylen Brown fit into history, into Celtics history? We'll get into some collective bargaining agreement stuff, replacing Kristaps Porzingis. Should we fear Oklahoma City and Cleveland? But let's get right to the first question here from Jonathan R., who says, I wonder if I'm misreading this, but it seems to me that Joe Mazzulla and Jayson Tatum will never get the recognition they deserve because they're both too team-oriented. Playing Celtics way will never get individual honors in these times. It's an interesting point here because playing very team-oriented basketball does, by its nature, suggest that you are sacrificing individual statistics. Individual awards are based on those statistics, and therefore, by giving up touches, giving up shots, giving up opportunities, that the individual awards will not tend to follow. I think that may affect Jayson Tatum a little bit here, but on the other side of it, winning does bring awards. So I think for Tatum, there is the issue of Jaylen Brown's really good, and he was a Finals MVP. Kristaps Porzingis has been talked about as a critical component. Derek White is awesome. Jrue Holiday is great. We talk about Payton Pritchard being Sixth Man of the Year. And the other side of the argument for Jayson Tatum would say, how important is Tatum really when you have the Sixth Man of the Year, a Finals MVP, a unicorn, two of the guys on the all-defensive team? How good does Tatum really need to be? How much is he carrying? How valuable, quote unquote, valuable is he really to this team's success? Now, you and I know that he's critically valuable to this team's success, but when you compare him to the two favorites, let's say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic, those two guys are very obviously the center of the universe on those teams. You take Jokic off the Nuggets, are they where they are? No. You take SGA off of the Thunder, are they what they are? No. You take Tatum off the Celtics, are they what they are? No. But there's that but there that you can say Jaylen Brown plus league average replacement player plus the rest of this team, yeah, it's still a pretty good team. That's still a team that could win a championship. Now, I think that would bring the team back down to the pack significantly. But could they win with an increased role for Derek White and Holiday and Horford and Porzingis? Could they? Maybe, but it's not a guarantee. Tatum changes the entire dynamic, but by playing team basketball, he may give up some of that. But again, winning is the key thing here. And the way he's playing team basketball now, I feel like there's a strong chance that this style of play from Tatum could boost him in MVP discussions down the road. So I get the point. I think there might be something to it, Jonathan, but I do think there is a way around it, especially next year if a couple of the guys aren't around and some of the dynamics change. There is certainly potential for more recognition. And anyway, as for Joe Mazzulla, the winning will get you the recognition at some point. But again, super team, quote unquote, what people believe the Celtics have, will diminish the individual awards, recognition, all of that stuff. Steve says, what would the floor and ceiling be for the Celtics with Jayson Tatum in a league average rest of the roster? So the basketball nerd in me gets technical when you ask these questions, right? It depends partly on how the roster is constructed. League average, but is it league average big? Is it league average small? Are you league average bunch of shooters around Tatum? Is it league average less shooting, more defense around Tatum? There are differences, right? And you can still construct a team, a big team with size, with still double bigs, but average double bigs, but still two bigs. That style of play would be different. I think Tatum with a bunch of league average shooters around him still would be really good. And that's how you'd have to construct the team. If you were to tell Brad Stevens, all right, you can't have 39% 3-point shooters. Everybody's got to be 36%. But if you still put league average guys, 3-point shooters around Tatum and have three other positions, plus a big, just a league average big, which wouldn't that be Luke Kornet? I think this team could be pretty good. But that's the non-Tatum minutes would be the issue. And that would be where the team is, again, just by definition, league average, they'd probably be 500. And if there's a game that he missed, they'd probably win a couple, lose a couple. The minutes that he wasn't there, they'd be mediocre. They'd be okay some nights and not okay other nights, which would mean he'd have to turn it on. You could certainly try doubling him a whole lot more, but if you have at least average recognition of that, I feel like Tatum plus league average players as a playoff team, maybe a third or fourth seed. I think they could get home court, maybe win a couple of rounds. They probably could win a first round. Maybe they could win a second round, depending on how Tatum gets going, depending on how average the shooting is. Are you saying now league average roster, you're not getting league average results all the time? Sometimes you could be the Miami Heat from a couple of years ago and have a league average roster catch fire. So you could make a run. Like we saw essentially that happen with that Miami Heat team. So a run to the finals, could it happen? Maybe. But it would be good? Again, league average team, mediocre, probably a 6 seed. Add Jayson Tatum, gets you to a 4th. Depending on how other teams are constructed, a 3rd seed. And then you go from there. Depends on matchups after that. So still good. The floor would be average, mediocre, 6 seed. Still a playoff team. The ceiling could be a miraculous run to the finals. Now let's get to the next set of questions. Fearing the Cavs and Thunder, talking about how to replace Kristaps Porzingis if they needed to, and other CBA-related questions. That is all next. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Baseball season in full swing. No better way to get into the action than PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less than at least 2 player projections. If you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. 1,000 times your cash is a lot of times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBI, first inning runs, PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. You can go ahead and pick Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run. I think that's probably pretty safe. Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. Interesting. Probably also. Super easy, super fast, super simple. Less than 60 seconds when you win. Boom. Payout is quick, safe, and secure. And you can always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts and select player projections at even more value. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's nice. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out our newsletter. It's available at LockedOnDaily.com. Click on that Celtics logo, Locked On Celtics logo. Enter your email. I will send you an email every Monday through Friday. Celtics coverage, NBA coverage, fantasy coverage when appropriate, plus links to every great story out there on the internet for the Boston Celtics. So go check it out. LockedOnDaily.com. Enter your email. Oh, wrong button. Join that newsletter group today. Sometimes button pressing can be difficult. All right, let's move on. Mailbag questions, by the way, can get submitted to johnkaralis.com/mailbag if you want to submit yours. johnkaralis.com/mailbag. That's the only way I get them, so that's how you submit. johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Send them in. Whenever you send them in, that's fine. I will try to occasionally sprinkle in a mailbag when appropriate. And I thought this day, an off day between the Celtics coming home for that game against Miami, that road trip is over. I thought this was an appropriate time for a mailbag, which we're getting back to now. Ryan says, I'm a big Celtics fan, but I'm worried about how we're going to do this postseason. Against the Cavs and Thunder, we're 2-6. How can we change this in the postseason? All right. I get it. The Celtics lost twice to the Thunder. Not great. They lost twice. They're split the series against the Cavs. Not great. But within that, you saw 2 massive Cavs comebacks where I think the Celtics probably are going to perform better in the playoffs. Those were, the first one was Donovan Mitchell's miraculous comeback with perfect 20-point quarter to fourth quarter to come back and beat the Celtics. Which, if that's how the Cavs are going to do it, if they're going to rely on Donovan Mitchell to score 20 points in the fourth quarter, okay, good luck with that. Celtics, when they played the Cavs there, had a tough fourth quarter. I still feel like the matchups are there for Boston to attack, and more often than not, they're going to close out these games. I think they're better at closing out games now. And so I'm not too worried about the Cavs necessarily. The Thunder are different, and that, I think, will make Kristaps Porzingis very important. And this is why I say you just need Kristaps Porzingis healthy for 14 games, and it's the last 2 series. The 14 games is 7-game Eastern Conference Finals, 7-game NBA Finals. And if he's healthy, it wouldn't even be for 14 games. So I feel like against the Thunder, we've seen them play their best, their worst, and then have a tough game. The Thunder are definitely difficult. They have fewer weaknesses. They play incredible defense. My only criticism or question of the Thunder is their lack of experience. And how they do in the playoffs is still something yet to be proven. They could have done better last year. They didn't. This year, they're going to have some challenges as well getting through that West. We'll see. I'm not saying they won't. I'm saying that they will have challenges. And a 7-game series against certain teams is a lot different than a regular season when you don't know how the schedule has panned out for either team. There's matters of health. There's matters of holding back. There's a lot of stuff that can impact a regular season game. So I would say OKC is going to be, if they do match up, a very difficult matchup. But I still feel like I would pick the Celtics in that matchup. And Porzingis would be critically important. Tatum shooting will be critically important. Using size on the wings, on the perimeter, taking advantage of that will be critically important. And the Celtics experience will be very important. The Thunder have never been to an NBA Finals. They don't know what that's like. They don't know the change in how things are done. They just don't know any of that stuff. And when you experience it for the first time, it can be a very eye-opening because it's nothing like the regular season. Everything changes. Your whole cadence of the day changes. And so maybe they can get through that and win a championship. It wouldn't surprise me if OKC won a championship. I just think Boston is still better prepared. Chris T asks, you often mention that the Celtics may need to move on from Jrue. Do you think Pritchard is ready to be a starter next year? Yes, to some degree. I love Pritchard in this role, but I think he can be a decent player as part of the starting lineup. He's just not as good as Jrue Holiday. We know he's not as good as Jrue Holiday overall. He's still, and we've seen it lately in some of these games, there's still some defensive limitations which show themselves from time to time. He has to be able to get away with some physicality, which regular season, it's up and down. Maybe in the playoffs he gets away with it. But it's tough to say he's ready. I don't know. I think he's ready. I think he's ready to replace Holiday if it comes to that. I think it's a slight step down, but it's his shooting, I think, will be able to carry him through. My hesitation is because he is a very heavy ISO player. And why I think coming off the bench is good for him is he gets to be more of that ISO guy in those situations. And you almost strip away some of what makes him effective by starting him a little bit, because he is going to be more complementary to Jaylen and Jayson and the other guys in a starting role, whereas off the bench, and he's still playing with at least one of these other stars, but at least off the bench, he gets to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think he's better when he's aggressive. So it's not necessarily that I don't think he can. I don't know if it suits his game in quite the same way. Maybe I'm wrong, but we might get a chance to see. I don't think it's a problem, but I do think there are going to be some questions. If Holiday gets moved and Pritchard is the starter, I think the Celtics will be fine, but I do think there are going to be questions, and those questions will have to be answered over the course of next regular season. Dragon, I like that, Dragon, asks, with everybody already rattling about trading Jrue and Kristaps, I think we all agree Payton and Baylor got us covered at the guard. Okay, yeah, somewhat, yeah. But who's out there for the Celtics to try and replace KP? Luke Kornet. Hello, Luke Kornet, baby. Who is probably going to be like, he's a nice player to slot in into that role. It's going to be different if he's the starting center. If Porzingis has to go this summer, then Kornet going in and then Horford kind of backing him up, still leave a little bit of a hole. You probably want to get a third center, and maybe Nemish Queta is more ready, or maybe you go out and try to find somebody after you've gotten out of the second apron. You can use an exception or make a trade to bring somebody in. That's always possible. So, but I think Luke Kornet's the guy. And, I think it should still be done in waves. I don't think moving Holiday and Porzingis next year is entirely necessary. I think Porzingis is one more year on the contract. I think Holiday was given a sweetheart kind of deal with his extension, and maybe the new owner will come in and be like, no, keep this together, and second apron be damned. We're gonna roll with it for one more year, and then we're gonna have to blow it up. It's not out of the question, although the money makes it very close to out of the question, and the penalties make it very close to out of the question. But it's not out of the question to say, bring everybody back one more season and then make a bigger, more dramatic move after that to pare down salary. But I think Kornet right now is tabbed as the Porzingis replacement, and I'm okay with that. Where does Jaylen Brown fit in Celtics history? A comp. What's the deal there? We'll talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where all your money went? Happens to all of us. It certainly has happened to me plenty of times. Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, in-game video purchases, video game purchases, in-game game purchases, all of a sudden you're like, well, I spent this much money on what? Monarch Money can be your personal CFO, gives you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just some budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place. So stop managing your money. You can start building your wealth. Start using Monarch Money, and you can see how much you're spending on all these other things to budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you do not want to juggle muggles. That's an entirely different thing, which is, what is that, Harry Potter? And like, no, you want to not juggle multiple apps. You can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Do you have a partner? This can make it smoother to track your shared personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. You got 2 podcasts on the Locked On NBA feed. Game Night covers all the games every day of the week, 7 days a week. I'm there on Fridays with Jake Madison. The regular Locked On NBA podcast is 5 days a week with a bunch of different hosts, basically debate style stuff. So go check that out wherever you got this podcast. Back into the mailbag. Again, mailbag questions can come into johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Joe says, after watching the Larry Bird episode of Celtic City, I thought about the current Celtics team and where they fall on the list of all-time greats from the team. I think Tatum is on a path to be no worse than the third best player in team history. But where do you think Jaylen Brown ends up if they win another couple of championships and he keeps getting all-star and all-NBA selections? So Tatum is going to try to put himself in that discussion as, third best, second best, the best. I don't know if he'll ever supplant Bill Russell and Larry Bird, but he's going to try. He's going to make a strong case, because if he sticks around, he will have a shot at being the Celtics all-time leading scorer. He could have multiple championships. If he has 3 championships or more, right now he's got 1. So let's hold up for a second. He still needs to get to number 2, but let's assume he does, and maybe picks up another 1 or 2 down the road somewhere. That would certainly put him into that top 3 discussion. Jaylen, under that same scenario, I don't think that he cracks that stratosphere, but it definitely puts him, if Jaylen Brown ends up with 3 championships and multiple All-NBA and All-Stars like that, he would be in that Kevin McHale category, the Sam Jones category. I don't know if he's Havlicek, because Havlicek he might be Havlicek, but I would say somewhere between, like, Havlicek's the all-time leading scorer for the Celtics. I think he's better than, I think Jaylen's better than like the JoJo Whites, the mid-tier star, guys that we know and love. I think he's better than Robert Parrish and all of that, better than DJ, better than Danny. So those are like the middle tier guys who are really good. And some of those guys had their numbers retired. I think Jaylen is just like we see, like when we compare Larry and Kevin, I think that's how we would see ultimately Tatum and Brown, where Kevin McHale is an obvious, like one of the best players ever. He's one of the 50 best. He's one of my basketball hero. Like he is personally responsible for a lot of the success, including this podcast, right? If it wasn't for Kevin McHale, I wouldn't have any basketball related job anywhere. I'd probably be making pizzas or something. But I think Jaylen falls slightly short of the Larry Birds, Jayson Tatum, Bill Russell, and falls into that next tier, Sam Jones, Kevin McHale, that kind of stuff. Matthew says, hey, John, why have we suddenly stopped seeing Queta and Walsh? So they're not very good right now. Neemias Queta has had plenty of good moments. He has had plenty of opportunity, and he's done very well with some of that. Jordan has had spotty success here and there, but still not quite ready to contribute at the NBA level. Still a little too herky-jerky. Still a little too undisciplined, unreliable with his shot. Will he get there? He could very well get there. This is a summer that will be very important for Jordan Walsh, because he may see Baylor Shireman kind of zip past him, and which makes sense. I mean, Jordan Walsh was picked later in the second round, and Baylor was a first-round pick. So even at number 30, he's still a first-round pick. So I think Jordan just needs to learn how to play under control and be reliable. Just be reliable. Find something in that game of yours to be reliable, to have to where the Celtics can look at him and be like, we can count on him for this. Is it rebounding? Is it defense? Is it one thing right now, just right now, one thing that you can go to the Celtics and say, I'm giving you this NBA level skill all the time, every time I'm on the floor. And then the other stuff I'm working on. I don't think he has that one thing yet. Queta is still too, like, I know that people like to think, around here that I don't like Queta. I think he plays hard. I just don't think that he's that good, where he gets consistent daily opportunity yet. Again, a guy that still he can be, but he needs to work on his balance, his base. He needs to really strengthen his legs. He's too knock-kneed out there, which I think robs him of some lateral stability. I think he needs to be aggressive finishing. He needs to work on his second jumps. He still lacks, like, there are plays where he should be dunking the ball and he doesn't. You know what I mean? He's better. He's almost better sliding sometimes than he is going up and back. So he needs work. He needs work. The bottom line, the short version of a long answer is they still have a lot of work to do. and they don't have anything that you can trust as the Celtics are moving into the playoffs. Doesn't mean that they can't come in and make some sort of impact in limited minutes, but you can't rely on them for regular minutes. Eli with a comment, just the realization, but after watching March Madness, it just makes you appreciate more how insane the shot making is in the NBA. Watching all the bricks that go up in college, NBA players are just on a whole different level. Yes, Eli, that's why I don't watch a lot of college. I'm sorry, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. I watch these guys, like I will watch some. I'll go to Providence College basketball games. I'll watch some here and there. But I'm not drawn to, this matchup, this Big Ten matchup is amazing. Like, no, I don't care. I don't care because the basketball is not very good. And I know it's higher energy, and the guys probably care more because they're not very good. They have to care more. They play once a week. They're fighting for some sort of playing time. Yeah, they care more. But I don't care about that. I care about the shot going in. I want to see good basketball executed well and shots being made. That's what I want to see. I want to see the best of the best. So sorry to the accounting major who is a very good athlete, but not going to continue his basketball career after college. And look, they were better basketball. These guys I'm talking about are better basketball players than I was at that Division I level. But look, sorry. It's just, I prefer the NBA game. So, and I think this is, you can see why. When it comes time for the draft, when the Celtics are rebuilding and they are preparing for actual lottery picks, then I will pay closer attention to who those potential lottery picks are. Right now, whatever. We'll see. And we'll finish with Paolo, who along these same lines says, it doesn't seem to be any feud between Horford and JT over potential Gators Duke final. Are they keeping it in the locker room? Is it something that could derail the season? Yes, Paolo. Oh my God, this is the one thing I feared my entire season here, that Duke and Florida will play in the finals and it would tear the relationship apart between Al Horford and Jayson Tatum. I don't care that Jayson Tatum has called Al Horford his favorite teammate and gushes at all times about Al Horford. This could tear them apart. Was that good? Did I do a good first take kind of thing there? Was that, can I audition for ESPN first take on that? Or did it sound too sarcastic? I feel like it might have sounded too sarcastic. And I know Powell is being sarcastic too, because he put a smiley face emoji in the question. So I know he's just busting with that question. I am very curious to see if it goes to Duke and Florida. I mean, look, JT and Al love each other. They are like, Jayson loves Al Horford. Loves him. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a substantial wager on this game, be it public embarrassment, be it financial, some combination of both, indentured servitude to one another. I don't know what it is, but I know this. JT loves Duke. Al Horford loves Florida. And these guys, if nothing else, love to bust on one another in the locker room. It's one of the things I miss most about playing is that locker room dynamic. I miss that miles before I miss anything on the basketball court. But that kind of stuff, I'm sure will lead to some incredible amount of trash talking, which would be fun. And I'm sure there's some extra juice to this matchup between them. They've made enough money to make it really interesting. So we'll see. But that'll be a fun one. I hope you enjoy this Mailbag podcast. I like to do it every once in a while because people have questions. And I know people like to hear the questions answered on the podcast. I do only have half an hour or so on the show, so I can't get to all of them. I try to pick questions that are representative of multiple questions that are being asked, but please submit your questions to johnkaralis.com/mailbag. I will try to answer them all. I have toyed around with ideas for how to answer more of them. Maybe at some point I go through and just do bonus. Just here's a bunch of mailbag questions answered, and we just rip through them. I will do something. I promise I will try to do something to get more answers out there. because I do love the fact that so many people are submitting your questions. But I'll try to do this mailbag episode every week or so. Tougher during the playoffs, but we'll still try. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag. If you're not subscribed to the show, please do that. This show is free. It's available Monday through Friday, and it's on every podcasting app out there. You can watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, join the everydayers who are in there all the time, Monday through Friday, having fun in the comment section. Share your thoughts, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.